Welcome to Habs tonight, and we have a big episode for you guys coming up. We are going to talk about what happened in this conference finals between the Avs and the Oilers, and then we're going to talk about the Lightning and the Rangers, and then we've all been waiting for this. The entire season has come down to this. The Stanley Cup Finals, Tampa Bay versus the Avalanche. Third time in a row, the Lightning are going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and every year this pandemic, the Lightning have gone to the finals, and yeah, we have a lot in store for you today. So how are we feeling, Marco?
Feeling good. I mean, right now is the tail end of the playoffs. It's the most exciting time of the year. I feel like a lot of people at the beginning of the season would have had this finals outcome predicted. I know that I think you had too, the Avs and Tampa in the finals, right?
Oh, I actually had the Panthers, but I'll still take a credit for
Uh,
another Florida team in there.
yeah, exactly. No, but it's going to be a real fun one to watch. I mean, both these guys, top caliber teams, they're all going to be healthy for the most part, besides Kadri, fortunately, won't be able to play for Colorado. We'll see how much that'll affect their chances going through. But yeah, feeling good for today. We got a lot to dive into with the conference finals matchups. And yeah, so I guess we could start with the Avs and the Oilers one. What'd you think about that series?
This was, in my opinion, one of the more entertaining of the two conference final series that we had. I know it was a sweep, and people on paper may have thought it was a cakewalk, but each game had a lot of interesting storylines and was very entertaining in itself. We had goalies becoming Swiss cheese in game one. Game two, we had Avs playing well for 3 minutes, and I'm gonna admit I didn't get to watch the game, but they scored 3 goals in 3 minutes and ended up winning that game. And then the Oilers, McDavid literally trying to pull off his best McDavid impression. Like that's the only way to put it. He was trying to carry his team on his back, along with Draisaitl, who was injured, and same with Nurse. But unfortunately, wasn't good enough. But still gave us a lot of entertainment value. And the Oilers looking forward to seeing what happens there this summer.
Oh yeah, for sure. These guys are going to be real busy with free agency. I feel like we were talking about it all year long, basically how much their goaltending and their defensive depth would really take them throughout the playoffs. And I think really now, when it came down to it, it came to bite them. I mean, obviously, for a good portion of it, it was able to hold through Mike Smith's play and the defense. But obviously, when you come against a top tier team like Colorado and the offensive weapons that they have, arguably one of the top three best teams in the league. I mean, it came to show that Colorado was overall more well built for the playoffs and for the long stretch. And I think this series was one that I wasn't expecting to sweep. I think we had all in our last episode had called it going to maybe 6 or 7 games. So I was fairly surprised to see that the Avs were able to sweep the Oilers in 4. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not surprised considering the amount of talent, like I said, the Avs have on their team. I just thought the Oilers might be able to give them a little bit more of a fight, I guess. But we do have to give credit to Leon Draisaitl, who was very evidently going through his own ankle injury, and we saw in Game 4, especially how much he was really limping and how he was giving every last effort into his shifts. You could see him like he was in absolute pain getting off the ice every single shift. But I mean, it goes to show that this guy is one to sacrifice it all for a team. And in playoffs is when we see it all out on the line. At least now, I guess he's happy that he'll have the chance to recover fully his health in the summer. He for sure he needs it. That's for sure. We were able to see it all playoffs long. One good thing about this series too is that our bet is now officially over. Mikko Koskinen will not be lifting Stanley Cup, and therefore I will not have to shave my head, even though it looks like I have partially done that on the sides and the back. But no, we won't be seeing any Jason Tim, any Dwayne Rock Johnson things going on with my hair. I'm very happy. My girlfriend's very happy, and we can move on with that now.
Yep. And we'll never have to worry about him winning a cup. So Marco won't have to worry about shaving his head ever in his life because he's going to go back to Europe,
Let's
and
go.
Shane and Nick won't have to worry about buying a Koskinen jersey. I'm not sure many people
Yeah.
have bought his jerseys, but if somehow they're the people who have his jerseys, they won't have to worry because he's going to be signing in Switzerland very soon.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
this is the biggest question with the Oilers. Goaltending, as I'm sure we know, is probably the biggest question. Mike Smith is being questioned on his future, even though he has 1 year left on his contract at 2.2 million, and Koskinen's 4 million is off the books.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
what do you think they do in that?
Well, I think Kosman getting off the books, going to Switzerland, like you said, that's going to be a huge relief, I guess, on the cap side space of it, because maybe they do want to sign Evander Kane. We'll see what goes on with that. But obviously, this guy has earned his pay with the chance he's been given with the Oilers. So any cap space that you could kind of free up, you should do it if you're the Oilers. And especially if you're trying to go for another playoff run next year. I guess it's all down to the general managers in the organization and what direction they want to take. But considering all the players that they have now with Leon, McDavid, and everybody like that in their prime and their offensive weapons clicking, I think now is just a chance to kind of go all in on your defense and your goaltending. So we know that Jack Campbell is most likely not going to sign with Toronto. Talked about contract for months. Maybe the Edmonton Oilers go all in on him this summer. It would be a little bit expensive, but obviously clearing up Koskinen's contract, sending him to Switzerland could make room for Campbell's arrival potentially. I don't know. If I were the Oilers, I would definitely try to look at Campbell. Anyone just reliable for like a deep playoff run, because we're able to see, we were talking about it before, Mike Smith was able to carry the load for a certain amount of time and he was outstanding in certain games. But at the end of the day, it is Mike Smith. He is 41 years old at the end of the day. And you're going to need a younger goalie, someone who's a little bit more capable, more reliable, especially when it comes to the playoffs. Because I think, like we mentioned, that along with their defensive depth, just kind of let them down in a sense when it came up to Colorado. And you really need those two aspects to click when you're going up against top teams like that. And there's going to be a lot of them next year for sure. The same ones probably will be repeated. Maybe some new underdogs could step up, but regardless, Edmonton's going to have to do some upgrades, I think. And I think Campbell could be definitely a good addition for another playoff run next year. What do you think about that?
I completely agree. And also, one thing that Edmonton I probably should have mentioned earlier is Oscar Klefbom. His contract might be coming off the book soon, depending on whether he's able to ever play again. Because in the bubble, he suffered an injury, and in his injury, he wasn't able to play last season and all of this season. And there's talks he might not ever play again. There's reports coming out from legitimate sources out in Edmonton, and there's rumors Ken Holland might want to be moving out that contract, probably to Arizona or Buffalo. We were all surprised that Buffalo took on the dead contract of Ben Bishop, but I guess I could
Mhm.
put them in as a team here that probably take on the contract of Oscar Klefbom. So they could clear up that 4 million and clear up more cap space this summer. And then, depending on what happens with Duncan Keith and Mike Smith, those contracts would also probably be gone, and that could get them to just over 10 million in cap space. But they still do have a lot of UFAs to re-sign. Derek Brassard, in my opinion, you could maybe give him a smaller contract. Kyler Yamamoto's an RFA with arbitration rights, along with Jesse Puljujärvi, who's worth re-signing, and Ryan McLeod's an RFA who is worth re-signing. But Evander Kane is an interesting case. I know you mentioned Elliot Friedman, and Friedman did say that there's a chance that his contract gets reinstated with the Sharks, depending on the investigations with what happened over the past 2 years with Evander Kane. We know he was a news source in himself of all these crazy stories that happened with him this summer
Yeah.
and this season with all like the nonsense that he did. But now that he's in Edmonton, he just focused on playing hockey and was very good at it. So there's a chance that he gets his contract reinstated with the Sharks, which would be very weird in my opinion. It's kind of hard to imagine him going back to San Jose after everything that happened. Like, I'm just still trying to
Yeah.
imagine. It's going to be a difficult thing to imagine.
Yeah, for
But
sure. Definitely be funny to see him go back to Sharks after everything that they went through, basically kicking him to the curb. But who knows? I guess we'll see what happens with that.
yeah, because sort of my proposal for just a bit of a for the goaltending right now is, if let's just say all those guys go, I would go for maybe depending on Jack Campbell's status or how much he wants, I would consider maybe Kevin Lankinen and Ville Husso as the goalies that I would go
Mhm.
for, because they're going to be a bit cheaper on the market. And both of them have, I wouldn't say they're proven starters, but both of them prove that they can start games when needed. And also, because knowing Ken Holland, he likes to throw a lot of big money at proven starters and proven good players. But when I say he likes to throw a lot of good money, he likes to throw the incorrect amount. 9 million for Darnell Nurse. I'll say this: good thing Kent Hughes was his agent, because we could say Kent Hughes got him that contract. But knowing Ken Holland, he probably decided to give him a bit of an overpay. But yeah,
Mhm.
you just need to be more conservative with your money if I'm Edmonton this summer, and make sure that the the cap space is still there, and then you can make moves as the season goes along, and you can also re-sign Brett Kulak, which is a rumor that he might come back to Montreal this summer.
No, 100%. I think if you're the Oilers, the priority is to really open up the cap space as much as possible so that you could upgrade your defense and your goaltending for another run next season. And I like the fact that you mentioned Ville Husso too, who's an upcoming free agent. Obviously, he played outstanding this year with St. Louis. For most of the regular season, he was pretty much the starter until the playoffs hit, and then Jordan Binnington just got back to his, I guess you could say, Stanley Cup form. But I feel
Yeah.
like definitely between him and Lankinen, I think I would go Huso if that is an option. But obviously, with his play and everything that he did for St. Louis this season, him too is going to be a little bit more expensive. So depends how much the asking price is for Huso on the market. I guess, but we'll see. I mean, there's a lot of potential candidates that the Oilers could go for goaltending, but I do definitely think that they will sign somebody in this off season for that for sure. They pretty much have to at this point because I think without Koskinen now, especially Mike Smith's health and age, you're going to need a reliable young starter. And I think that if you don't go with Campbell, I think Huso could be another very good option for sure.
Yeah. And also, we got to call it out right here. Right here.
Yes.
Lecky does it again. I think first time, I'm pretty sure, in history. I don't know if there's any fact checkers here, but I'm going to say it. First time I know of this happening ever. A player sends their team 2 years consecutively in overtime the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I mean, first time I've ever seen that. I mean, I guess you could call him conference final Lecky now. I mean, he's earned
Yeah.
it. It's just remarkable how clutch he's been. And when I saw him score that winning goal for Colorado, I was like, oh boy, this takes me back to last year already when he sent us to the Stanley Cup Finals. And I mean, it just goes to show Lecky's paying so much dividends for the Avalanche. I think that it was really a good mutually beneficial trade that we did with them. Acquiring Justin Barron, obviously, I think he's going to be a really good young prospect for the future. He's going to be a good defenseman in the NHL eventually when he gets there. Obviously, he's still got a long way to go with his development. But I mean, Colorado, they wanted to get someone to be clutch for them right here, right now. And Lecky, obviously, sending him to the Stanley Cup Finals did exactly that. And he's just been a huge depth piece and a nice asset on their second line, even their top power play sometimes also this year. And yeah, it's sad to see Lucky in their uniform, but at least he might be able to go chase that cup that he wasn't quite able to do last year. So for Lucky, I mean, I'm all on board with Colorado, and hopefully Lucky could win the Stanley Cup, maybe get the Stanley Cup final winning goal for them. Wouldn't that be something?
I would love to see him get the Stanley Cup final winning goal. That would be so nice to see, and it would be just a beautiful sight. I can't stress how nice it would be because I'm tired of seeing the giant that or the monster that John Tortorella created back in 2019 winning and winning and winning. I don't want this to become the UCL where Real Madrid wins it every year. I want
Yeah.
to see them upset and lose Tampa Bay. Like I've said this last episode, I would love to see Tampa Bay go to the Stanley Cup Finals only if we get an iconic shot of Nikita Kucherov crying after what he said about us in the media and didn't get fined for somehow. But I would love to see Lucky score the winner, and I can tell you this: the whole city would be behind you, Lucky. And we've got to say this: Go Avs, go! We want to see you
Yeah.
score the winner, Lucky.
I'm sure that all Habs fan alikes are all rooting for Colorado in this. And I think really the icing on the cake, like you said, would be game 7 overtime. Lecky sends the Colorado Avalanche to hoist the Stanley Cup. And then you have that shot of Nikita Kucherov crying that karma right back in his face.
Yeah,
So we're praying for that. Fingers crossed that all happens. But yeah, speaking of the Tampa Bay Lightning, I guess now could be a good time to move on to the other conference final that took place. Sorry, and this one here, I guess say was definitely a little bit more of a close series, more entertaining in that sense. I mean, we did have the Rangers leading the series 2-0 at one point, but Tampa Bay showing that they still got the grit, they got the playoff experience, and now they got the momentum. So obviously, this is a force to be reckoned with, as always. What do you think, Damon? We could go break down the series, and I want to get your thoughts on where do you think Tampa could go back to back to back, especially now with Brain Point being pretty much at full health, and he's fully expected to start at the beginning of the series on Wednesday for the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be surprised if they go for the three-peat, and I have to say this: if the three-peat ends up happening, one of these two things will end up happening. Tampa Bay will three-peat, or Corey Perry will lose in the Stanley Cup Finals for the third year in a row.
Yeah, for some reason,
But
I could really picture the second one going down. I don't know why, but
yeah, I feel bad for Corey Perry if that happens, but I wouldn't feel bad for Tampa.
on the bright side, we do have two former Habs going at it again in the series. We had Kulak against Lucky in the Western Conference Final. Now we got Perry against Lucky in the Stanley Cup Finals. So, I mean, good sight to see for Habs fans, I guess. We see our former players who did us so much good in the past, doing some good for some other teams, and at least one of them will be guaranteed to hoist the cup, which is obviously great for us to hear. And we're proud of any of our former Habs players that go on this far, even if they are with other teams.
Yeah, I would love like I want to just go back to this series just for a second and say like the thing that I really liked about the series, it gave us a bit of a glimpse of what I feel will be the future of the Habs because Gordon built this Rangers team and he did a very good job with rebuilding it and and aggressive retooling because he did keep some of the former players from the Rangers from the time. He kept Zibanejad, Kreider, and those kind of good players, and a
Mhm.
lot of their prospects ended up developing them very well. And then the Rangers, of course, we all know that they went to the conference finals, but got beat out by a team due to playoff experience. But they would have won this series, in my opinion, if they had won in Game Three. But Tampa Bay's playoff experience came into play in Game Three and ended up winning them that game. And I want to get this a bit of brew going on here, a bit of a beef stew going,
Let's
and
hear it.
and then throughout the series, there was talk between Vasilevskiy and Shesty, or Shesterkin, or we can call him Shesty for short. But
Yeah.
who do you guys think is better? I want your opinion, Marco, on this because I'm going to be in the very unpopular opinion. I'm just going to say that.
Okay. Very excited to hear your take about it now. You really got that beef stew brewing right now. But if you're gonna ask me which one I would take between those two, I mean, I think Vasilevsky is probably the most clutch playoff goalie of all time. And we just saw in this series again, he hasn't lost a step at all. And he's just been so consistent for the most part throughout this whole playoffs. And I think you could already place him in the best goalies to play of all time, especially if he does go back to back to back. But I do think that Shesterkin is the next best goalie in the NHL for the future. I do think that he will become the Vasilevsky of the future. And obviously, the New York Rangers had to give him a lot of credit because they wouldn't be where they would have gone, where they got without Shesterkin. I mean, he was just absolutely phenomenal all season and in the playoffs as well. And I think it's safe to say that he will get the Vezina trophy at the end of the day. But yeah, sad to see that one of those two great goalies had to go and that they couldn't both advance to Stanley Cup Finals because they honestly both really deserve it. But yeah, to make a long answer short, I just think that Vasilevsky is still the hottest goalie in the league and the most clutch playoff goalie of all time. And yeah, so he would be my pick in that. But watch out for Shesty in the future because that guy will be a star. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, because this is where my beef stew gets brewing right here. Yeah, it's my pick is going to be just so unpopular. I can tell you this. I'm probably going to be shredded in the comments, but that's okay because I'm going to say Shesty. I think that he, in my opinion, is a better goalie than Vasilevsky. I know that's going to be an unpopular opinion, but between watching the series and watching and analyzing the goaltending there, in my opinion, I think a lot of what makes Vasilevsky clutch in the playoffs is the team in front of him knows what to do and is much better positioned defensively, so he doesn't have to make as many highlight reel saves as much as other goalies, such as Shesty had to make. But Shesty made so many saves just to keep his team in it throughout the playoffs, and Vasilevsky, don't get me wrong, he's a good goalie, but he didn't have to make those highlight reel saves. Like he didn't really, like I don't, he didn't stretch out to like the Price and level incredible saves that I found that Shesty would do throughout the playoffs, and Price even did last year. And I don't think Vasilevsky's as good as a lot of people think. Like I think we're giving. I feel that I might be giving him too much respect, and a lot of other people do. But I think the key with Vasilevsky is I think you just have to shoot on him like when he doesn't expect it because he is of course like a very flexible goalie and he's definitely no doubt one of the most flexible goalies we've ever seen.
Mhm.
But the thing is I find is his positioning is there's issues with his positioning that I've noticed throughout a lot of the playoffs, and yeah, that's kind of my opinion. Like, I don't want to go too much into depth of it because I don't want to get entirely shredded. But if you guys want to shred me in the comments, that's okay. But my pick is Shesterkin, and even at this point in his career, I've noticed that Shesterkin was better than Vasilevskiy was when Shesterkin was at this point in his career. So that's my opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a completely fair argument, and I do think that Shesterkin in the regular season was the better goalie between him and Vasilevskiy. I just think that when the playoffs come around, Vasilevskiy is just a completely different monster, and the clutch meter on this guy just rises all the way to the top. And but I do see what you say. There's some weird shots. I mean, we did see some weird angle shots going on the Vasilevskiy during this series that maybe should have been stopped. Obviously, his flexibility is on another level, but I think you could kind of argue the same thing with Shesterkin too, and the way that he makes just remarkable last minute clutch saves as well. Maybe his positioning may be a tiny bit better, and it is a fair argument that you bring as well with the team in front of him. Obviously, Tampa are the best suited playoff team throughout the entire playoffs, with them obviously being back to back champions and just the amount of depth that they have there. New York, I do think also they are a very well rounded team, and they could have also made it to the Cup Finals maybe if it wasn't for Tampa. But when it comes down to it, I do think that Tampa Bay is the overall better team, but we do have to say that New York gave up a good fight. So yeah, I mean, I'm not going to shred you on your Shesterkin comments. I think that's a very, very fair argument, and I do think that in the future he will overtake Vasilevskiy in the long run, especially if he could keep up his form that he put up this season, 100%.
Thank you. And we're going to move on to the Stanley Cup Finals here for our predictions, and we're going to break down the matchups a bit. Both are very well balanced teams. I'm sure we know both have very good goaltending and even backup goaltending. When Kemper got injured, Francouz did a great job of stepping in for an injured Kemper and continuing on with the sweep of the Edmonton Oilers. And no word on whether Kemper will start this Wednesday. But it's definitely going to be a still entertaining finals to look forward to, whether it's still Francouz versus Vasilevskiy. But also, the other thing I wonder is if Colorado can complete this without Kadri. Do you think that who do you think's going to win here? And do you think that there's still a chance without Nazem Kadri being in the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, considering the season that Kadri's had, just absolutely remarkable. And even in the playoffs, he continued that level, and he's obviously been one of the shining stars on this Avalanche team. And it's a huge blow that they won't be able to have him in this Cup Finals. I think it really would have helped them a lot, and it would have really evened out the playing field too, because obviously both teams are wagons. At the end of the day, you need your stars, especially if you're going against Tampa too, with the likes of Point, who will probably be making his return back, Stamkos, Kucherov, and then Hedman, Vasilevskiy. Obviously, you do have monsters on both teams, and you just need all of them to be healthy when you need them to be. And obviously, this Kadri blow is going to really suck for the Avalanche. Maybe our own Leckie could step up in his position and he could fill in his shoes. They're definitely going to need some of their more depth players to step up and handle the load that Kadri was given and to really provide that remarkability factor and to just be clutch for the Avalanche, because right now is where all the chips are on the line. Right now is when they're going to need them. And I think that their depth is really going to be tested. And as for predictions goes for this series, I've been kind of battling with this as soon as we knew that these two teams would be going in the finals. And I don't know, I mean, obviously the Kadri situation does play a part in what I'm about to say, but also the goaltending as well, because we did see in the playoffs, Kemper wasn't really in the same type of form that he was during the regular season. I do think that he did show out a lot more in the regular season for the Avalanche than he did in the playoffs. Luckily, they have a great backup in Francouz, who was able to carry the load for them in his absence, and we'll see what Kemper's health is going to be like at the beginning of the series. But even if both are fully healthy, when you go Kemper against Vasi, I don't think it's really a competition for goaltending. It's not really the same type of conversation that we were having with Vasi and Shesty. Now, I think that Vasi is obviously the better goalie between the two. And now, especially with the momentum that Tampa have generated from being 2-0 down in their series against the Rangers, and now going to their third consecutive Stanley Cup Finals with a fully healthy team for the most part, I do think that Tampa will end up taking this series. I definitely don't think that it will be a sweep, by any means because the Avalanche are just way too good of a team to do that, and they're much more balanced than the Oilers are. So I could see this game going to 6 or 7 as well. But my final word, I think I'm going to go with Tampa in 6.
That's a good prediction. Like, I think that even with with the injury, it's definitely going to be a big blow because Kadri's having another out of this World Series season, and we of course know Kyle Dubas could have used him in the playoffs. No lie about that.
Oh yeah, could use a lot of players in the playoffs that he missed out
Yeah,
on. Him and
Hyman
Hyman
and
especially. I'm
yeah,
sure that they're punching the air with those two.
and
Great to see.
Bozak. The list can
Oh
go
yeah,
down. We can write down on the whole list right here of all the players that they could have used,
definitely.
but due to the cap, they
Oh
couldn't.
yeah,
But my prediction right now, I honestly truly believe that the Avs, I this better be their year because Nathan McKinnon has never gone to a conference final and they finally won. The Avs these past few years have been pretty much resembling the Washington Capitals of the mid 2010s, we could say. And I believe that it's now their time to win the cup, and I believe they'll win it in 7 games. Very hard fought series, chippy, tight. It's going to be another level of hockey. This is going to be very entertaining, and I believe the Avs will take it in 7, and hopefully Lecky scores the OT winner.
wow. Yeah, that's I think that's more or less an underdog prediction considering everything that's going on with the Kadri situation and the goaltending. But for our sake, for Habs fans' sakes, for hockey fans' sakes, I hope that you're right, and I hope that the Habs do take Tampa and maybe hopefully less than 7. But yeah, I mean, we are rooting for them at the end of the day. I just think it's going to be a really tough test for the Avs, but we're going to see it all go down on Wednesday when the Stanley Cup Finals officially begins, and I'm sure we're going to be in for a wild series. I'm for sure going to try to catch every single game of that. No hockey fan on this planet is going to want to miss it with these two titans going up against each other. I think that at the beginning of the year, if you would have picked what two teams you would have liked in the Stanley Cup Finals to go up against each other, I think a lot of people would have said the Avs and the Lightning. And fortunately, we've been treated to this Stanley Cup Final in reality, and I can't wait for it to begin.
Same here. And now, since we're a Habs channel, we're of course going to move on to some Habs news right here. And
Yes,
we have some Habs news, quite the Habs news to unpack. First of all, she's finally one of us. Marie-Philippe Poulin joins the Habs front office as a player development consultant. It's only part-time, but we're still very happy to have her, and it's definitely going to be a good job for her. And also, it's going to break a lot of barriers in the hockey world, and I'm really happy that she's going to be working for us.
for sure. I mean, I feel like a lot of this kind of saw this coming in the past or have kind of like speculated whether or not she would officially do it, but it's obviously good to see Marie-Philippe Poulin joining the Montreal Canadiens organization, arguably one of the best female hockey players to ever live. Like you said, it's going to break so many barriers. It's going to open up the women's game a lot more too to see that someone like this could make it in the big stages, even like past hockey in the men's association, the men's organization. She's going to obviously have a huge part to play, and I guess, well, you could say the biggest hockey franchise probably to ever exist, So for her, I'm sure it's a dream come true. And as hockey and Habs fans all like, we're thrilled to see this happen. And I'm sure that her expertise and her skill is going to go a long way when it comes to developing these young players in the future. And I just absolutely love the way that the organization is unfolding itself in this new era that we're seeing, breaking so many barriers, just going in a completely new and like nice direction.
I agree. And also, another good Habs news, we also re-signed Chris Weidman, which is a 2-year contract at league average. And the thing is, with that makes me happy about this signing is that he's going to be back on league minimum, and also he's a veteran of the game who knows how to quarterback a power play. And I find with next year with Barron, probably going to be getting a full time role with the team. Barron, in my opinion, is someone who could
Mm.
quarterback the power play. Same with Harris. Those guys, they can definitely learn a lot from him about fluid puck movement. And it's gonna be a huge W for the Habs to continue having Weideman, and this power play in the future is gonna look good with Weideman definitely teaching the kids how to use the quarterback and be a very fluid on the power play. I want your opinion on Chris Weideman coming back on a very good team friendly contract.
Definitely. I mean, and I think that this is a little bit surprising to see just because of how good he's been for the Habs this season. I think I would say that he's arguably been the best defenseman that we've had this season, and he's been the biggest standout in that area of the team. And like you said, he could quarterback the power play so well, and he was really there when we needed him this year. He was one of the shining stars, I guess, from the new guys that we brought in 100%. And I thought if he was going to resign, it would be more than a league minimum. So definitely a very team friendly deal that we offered him. And I'm so glad that he's going to be part of our team for next year. Like you said, going to be a good power play quarterback, great defenseman to lead the next generation with Barron and Harris, maybe even Gooley if we see him come up next year. I just think it's going to be great to see. And obviously, we got him at an amazing discount for what he probably could have signed for, considering how good he was for us this year. But I'm just sure if you're Chris Weidman, you're just happy not to be going back to Russia and that you get to stay with the best hockey organization on the planet. So over the moon with that signing to the news about him and Marie-Philippe Poulin in the recent, well, in the past couple of days slash week has just been outstanding for organization. I just feel like every single little news that keeps breaking just brings another smile on our faces as Habs fans. And I just can't wait to see when we get into the nitty gritty of the offseason with all the trades that might happen, as well as the draft that's going to be coming up soon. I'm sure we're going to have our hands full, and the mouth's just going to keep on watering for all us Habs fans for the next couple of months.
Yeah, no doubt. And also, some of our mouths are watering right now because we're all watching, of course, the Laval Rocket go to the conference finals and
Yes.
putting up a good fight against Springfield. And so far, it's been a very entertaining series. I've been fortunate enough to watch some of the games on the RDS. And Marco, you and Shane have been there in person. So can you tell us about the experience and who's really stood out for you from the Rocket so far?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to be there for their second home game on the Friday that I just passed. I think it was game 4. And no, it was just obviously the entire time. It's so good to see the entire stadium sold out. All the fans are so into it, and I just feel like one positive that you could draw from this underwhelming Montreal Canadiens season is that we've all been on the Laval bandwagon. We've all been supporting the next up for the Canadiens, our prospects and all these young guys, and you can see that everybody at the game, they're just so into it, they're so passionate. And I'm telling you, like, I lose my voice every time I go to the Place Belle because of how loud everybody else is, and they're just so into it. It's such a great sight for any hockey fan to see, especially for an AHL team. Is just absolutely remarkable. I think the Arizona Coyotes should definitely take notes on the Laval Rocket and how they put up an event, because they're going to need it for next season, that's for sure. And I think that you can't even compare the amount of interest that the Rocket have generated and the amount of fan support that they've generated compared to the Coyotes. So it's just amazing to see, especially for an AHL team, how much they could really live it up. And like I said, I went to that game 4. That was a game where they had tied it with zero point 0.1 seconds left. Well, not tied it. They had scored with zero point 0.1 seconds left. They were 2-0 down, and they scored the goal to get the momentum going with a decimal of a second. And I was fortunately right behind the net when that happened. 4 faceoffs, consecutive wins. You could tell that was kind of happening, but still, they had taken the faceoff with 2 seconds to go. And then the puck was in the back of the net right before the green light went off. It was absolutely wild. The entire stadium went crazy. And then they did end up going to win that game. Harvey Pinard with the game winner in overtime. It was just amazing to see. And obviously, that goal in the first period really got the ball rolling for the momentum. And yeah, it's just been amazing to see the Rocket perform. They've been so good as a team. Obviously, you have the regular standouts like Harvey Pinard, Yolonen, Dea, and Belzil standing out. Wallet too has been good for most of the playoffs. But I think the biggest star, I guess you could say, is Kane Primo. He's just been there when he's been needed this series. I've been lucky enough to see a lot of the playoff games for the Rocket this year, and he's been outstanding in every single game that I've played and just so extremely clutch for them. And it's just really great to see too, because obviously he got his chance to play in the NHL this season with the disastrous season that the Habs went through, and he was definitely underwhelming. And we were all saying that he's not ready for the NHL yet, and he still needs time to develop, and that he should stick it with the AHL for the time being. And he's just been so great for the AHL. You could tell that he was hungry to get the momentum going within himself and the confidence brewing. And I think that with this playoff run that they've had and with his performance, he's just been remarkable. And it's going to be so good for his development. And obviously, his confidence is on an all-time high now. So that maybe next season, if he does get his chance with the Habs, he'll be going in with a lot more confidence and reassurance that he could really pull it off for his team. So, yeah, very happy for Primo. The Rocket, they've had an absolutely outstanding playoff run. They put on a great show every time that I've been lucky enough to go. And I'm sure Shane could tell us a little bit more about his experience too when he hops on in the near future. But yeah, hopefully they could pull through against Springfield. They're a really tough team. And yeah, so hopefully, I think their next game is tonight. So if they win that, they'll go to game 7, which will obviously be great to see. And hopefully they could go all the way to the Calder Cup final. That would absolutely be amazing. But yeah, they definitely have a hurdle to go over with Springfield. Those guys, you could tell they're really built for the playoffs, and they've by far been the most impressive team that I've seen the Rocket come up against this year.
I agree. And also a fun fact that I want to mention as well is the last time a Montreal Canadiens affiliate won the Calder Cup was with a certain goalie named CP. We have a CP right now in Caden Primo, and the last one we won it with was Carey Price. So hopefully the
Yes.
CP into the net hopefully gets us that other championship we desperately need.
Let's hope so. I mean, Primo's definitely been lights out all playoffs, and I would love to see him lift the Calder Cup. He really deserves it. But like I said, they got to get over that Springfield hump. Those guys are a wagon, obviously, for AHL teams, and they've just been so good. Especially when I got to see him in person, you could really tell that this is the best opponent that the Laval Rocket have come up against all playoffs.
Yep.
And yeah, so we're all going to be behind the Rocket, obviously, with the Habs out. You're the closest thing to the Habs that we got now. So we're all pulling for you, all of Habs Nation. We're going to go for the Rocket, and let's hope that they could come all the way till the end for that Calder Cup.
Yeah, and a final bit of trade rumors we have here. We know that our team has been surrounded in trade rumors this entire summer and this entire season, but this one is a little bit of a shocker, I guess we could say, because it's not one I really expected. But Tyson Barrie to the Habs. I want your opinion on this, Marco. Would you do it? Would you take on that $4.5 million from the Oilers for Tyson Barrie, or would you try to avoid taking on Tyson Barrie?
I mean, when it comes down to the Tyson Berry rumors, obviously most of them are kind of generated around the fact that Anderson would be getting traded, and obviously he's someone who's been generating a lot of interest. The Habs have got a lot of serious offers with him, but we've heard Ken Hughes and Gordon say this in the past that he's one of their untouchables, and obviously any team would be lucky to have Anderson just with how dynamic of a player that he is and what he brings to the team each and every game. I definitely think that the Habs are going to keep him. And even if they get ridiculous offers, like apparently they have been recently, that they're going to try to do everything they can to keep Josh Anderson, unless it's for a ridiculous haul. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to keep it realistic with trade offers. I don't think any team's going to give up the whole wagon for Josh Anderson, but seems like he's generating a lot of interest. And Tyson Berry has been a name that's been connected with him. Obviously, he would be a good help for the Canadiens defense, but considering his age and where he's at in his career, obviously he could do a lot for your power play. He was kind of a power play specialist with Edmonton, and he is a good defenseman. Would I give up Josh Anderson for him? Absolutely not, especially considering the direction that the Habs are going in the future with all the young D-men that they have coming up system like Barron, Harris, Gooley, maybe Mayu in the near future, who knows. But I mean, with just this retooling slash rebuilding that the Habs are going through and the younger talent that's starting to take over the team, it wouldn't really make much sense to bring in Barry, I think. And I definitely wouldn't give up Anderson if I were to give up anybody for him. I would like to see Anderson stay with the team and just remain an untouchable, like we've heard Kent Hughes say it in the past. And you're definitely going to need someone like Anderson to lead your future generation in this slow retool slash rebuild. And yeah, so would I do a trade for Barry with Anderson? Absolutely not. If you could find another sort of way to get Barry on the team, I don't see why not. But obviously, you can't give up too much because you got to stay focused on the direction that the team wants to go in the near goal obviously in the future.
I completely agree. Very well said. And also, for those who don't know, the women's U18s, Canada's going to be playing in the U.S. against the finals tonight. If you guys get a chance to tune in, definitely going to be a very intense matchup. And we lost the U.S. 7-0 previously on in the tournament, and the women are definitely on for a revenge tour. Have you been watching the tournament much, Marco?
I haven't had the chance really. I've been very busy with the new internship that has basically got my hands full all season. So I don't even have as much time to keep up with the playoffs as much as I was able to. So no, unfortunately, I haven't had the chance to watch him. But yeah, we're gonna be going for Canada. That's for sure. No, every chance that we get to support Canada, we're gonna do that obviously, and we're here to talk about it. We do it pretty often actually on the Habs Tonight channel when we get the chance. So obviously, my support's going to be with the team. If I have the chance to watch them, I definitely would. But we will see with that. Like I said, I got my hands pretty full with everything going on with work.
Sounds good. And anything else you want to add here, Marco, before we start wrapping things up?
I think that we did a pretty good job covering everything. I guess few final words. Go Avs, go! We're going to be going obviously for them. We would love to see Lecky hoist the cup like he wasn't quite able to do last year, and to see that snapshot of Kucherov just getting what's been coming to him. I'm sure. Oh yes, like I said, I could picture it. It would just be so nice. So
It
yeah,
would.
all of Habs Nation behind that. But regardless of the outcome, it's going to be a phenomenal series. I'm sure that this is going to be some of the best hockey that we're ever going to see in the Cup Finals. It's definitely going to be a roller coaster, and we're going to be here to support that. Another quick note, I guess we could promote the merch as well if you
Got
guys
official
want to.
merch from Habs Tonight. And
Yes,
keep
sir.
my hat up there. We have many different things on our website, and there's always something for everyone. So make sure to find something you like and make sure to order it, because we love when you guys get our merch, and our merch is amazing. So yeah, make sure to get our merch. And also, as Marco, I'm not the biggest hoodie guy, but I'm sure you'll really like your hoodie right there.
Oh yeah, I wear this hoodie all the time. I mean, you see me wear it on the podcast all the time. I wear it in person too. It's just so comfortable, so stylish, and yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a lot more stuff coming out with our merch too. Some more summer stuff. I mean, we know golf season's around the corner. I'm gonna be getting some more polos as well there. I know Shane's got one. It's a real stylish one, so we're gonna hopefully be golfing together with those Habs Tonight ones. So yeah, great way to support the channel. If you guys want, you can get some nice, cool, stylish stuff like we got wearing going on. And yeah, just great way to support the channel.
Yeah, and also don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to subscribe, and because we have a lot of more hockey content coming this summer and throughout the fall and throughout the rest of your lives. So we're gonna make sure you guys are gonna continue to get nonstop Habs hockey content, and it's gonna be amazing. So make sure to subscribe.
Yeah,
And
we're
yeah,
gonna have a lot more interviews. We're gonna try to get you guys for the summer, and obviously there's gonna be a lot more stuff that we're gonna break down with any potential trades that happen, everything to come with the NHL draft. I'm gonna be lucky enough to be part of the draft with my new internship. I'm gonna keep the details on the low, but I will be there at the draft. So we're gonna try to do something for you guys when that time comes around. And yeah, stay tuned for the content. We'll definitely have a lot more to unpack in the summer when it breaks down.
cheers, guys.
Cheers.